I need to approach this review differently than the other ones. Rolling Thunder, Bleeding Blades, Trenches, all of the games I've previously made videos on exist in a different part of my head, because I'd only discovered them a couple weeks before I wrote the reviews. I've been playing Black Hawk Rescue Mission 5 for at least 3 years now, and I played BHRM 2 as far back as middle school. These games hold a special place in my heart, so I'm going to do my best to keep my personal bias from showing in that regard. Without further ado, let's dive into the world of Black Hawk Rescue Mission. The original Black Hawk games, as I'll be calling them for the remainder of this video for convenience, are the creation of user Platinum 5. Black Hawk 1 came out in 2010 and was directly inspired by the Ridley Scott film Black Hawk Down, set during the Battle of Mogadishu. It's a 90s milsim with the ever-popular zombie twist. You spawn in an underground hole in the middle of the city and fight your way through hordes of the undead. Black Hawk 3 came out in 2010. Set in the same city, this game did away with the zombies and focused on PvP, but from what I gather it wasn't all that popular. Why did we skip from 1 to 3? Your guess is as good as mine. Black Hawk 2 came out 1 year later in 2011, but might also be a prequel set before the events of Black Hawk 1? I've spent a long while trying to piece the timeline together, but it's not really important for this video. This game returned to the form of Black Hawk 1, maybe a little too much. Basically, you spawn in an underground hole in the middle of a city and fight your way through hordes of the undead. But this time it's in the snow. Now, you're probably wondering what riveting story and mechanics Black Hawk 4 has to offer. But keeping in line with the theme of confusion, there is no Black Hawk 4. This is where Platinum 5 stopped working on these games, to the disappointment of many fans. Now we can finally get to the topic of this review. Black Hawk Rescue Mission 5 technically can't be considered the 5th installment in the series, because it's made by a separate group called Platinum 5 that has no relation to the original creator. Therefore, Black Hawk 5 is more akin to a fan project than a legitimate sequel, and the gameplay reflects that. There's almost no focus on true roleplay and the lore is non-existent. Being a much newer game, Black Hawk 5 is more modern and polished in every area, from GUIs to character animations to vehicles. This becomes apparent as early as the main menu, where you're presented with your current character and options to play different game modes, edit your loadouts, or buy things in the store. Let's start by talking about the loadout page. Here you're able to manage up to 4 different characters and their respective weapons, clothing, and facial features. This is where one of my favorite parts of Black Hawk 5 comes into play. You can customize just about anything. Which plate carrier do you want? What pattern should it have? Which accessories do you want? Where will you put them? There are dozens of aftermarket components for guns, including optics, forward grips, barrels, muzzle devices, and more. You can even pick where on the rail you want your accessories to go, which can lead to some pretty cursed builds. I'm always a fan of letting players mess around with that kind of stuff, and Black Hawk 5 doesn't disappoint. The main game takes place in the PvE open world mode, where players fight insurgent forces to control Ronograd Island. This can be done solo, but it's much easier to play with a squad. In order to get around and take out enemies, players can buy a multitude of different vehicles, including Jeeps, Humvees, Littlebirds, Blackhawks, and even the A-10 Warthog. I'll get back to that one later. Using these vehicles and a gun that probably costs you your life savings, you set out to liberate the various locations that have been stuck in the POD's clutches. Of course, people really only care about these 2 spots, but that's neither here nor there. In order to capture a location, players need to kill every enemy in the vicinity. Once that happens, a friendly plane will drop extra ammo and medical supplies to help players fend off recurring waves of insurgents. This defense continues until the players exfiltrate or run out of ammo and die. Each location presents a different challenge. Ronograd City pits you against overwhelming numbers, the quarry makes you clear out an underground tunnel network, the radio tower is situated on a mountaintop that's difficult to reach, and the village has a lot of innocent hostages mixed in with the insurgents. While helicopters are the preferred method of transportation, a player could theoretically reach every location on foot. They just need to become expert mountaineers and master the reverse penguin form. The enemies themselves come in a couple different varieties, including riflemen, marksmen, and officers, but these differences are mostly cosmetic. Taking down one bad guy is easy enough, but they tend to pile up and overwhelm you. Mounted enemies are especially dangerous. 1 or 2 shots from a 50 cal is all it takes to kill a player, and they rarely miss. I would recommend engaging from a distance whenever possible. Check out my other Black Hawk video for tips about that. But if you must fight them up close, try to have some sort of structure that you can fall back to and use as cover if things get too dicey. The open world might be the main game mode, but it's not the only one. Black Hawk 5 comes equipped with 2 flavors of PvP, 5v5 and 2v2. The goal of each match is to capture the objective or eliminate the enemy team. You have access to all of your open world characters and weapons, so you can use whatever you're comfortable with. Personally, I main the XM2010 because of its stopping power. The maps are pretty small and the matches go by pretty quickly. It would be a stretch to call the PvP outstanding, especially when compared to other popular shooters, but it still retains the Black Hawk 5 feel with the weapons and movement. This would be the part of the video where our favorite Russian sniper shows up and says that magical word, but it seems like he's escaped his room and is loose somewhere in the compound. In his stead, I'd like to welcome guest star 713 Steam! Do the honors, Steam.
Details.
Thank you, Steam. Very good. Now get back to your room. There's a lot of stuff to cover here, so I'm going to mix the good and the bad together to spice things up a bit. Also, the recent Operation Resurgence update changed a lot of things for the worse, so if you hear me say something like, update, then just know that I'm pointing fingers at the devs. Okay? Let's go. Healing doesn't occur over time. You need to use medical items to get your health back. From least to greatest, they are dressing, bandages, and the ultimate recovery tool, vitamins. It should be noted that you heal a lot more if you use a dressing than a bandage. Helicopters are insultingly slow. You shouldn't be able to travel faster in a Jeep than a little bird. The open world map is massive and the various locations are well built. The terrain can be a bit rough, but there really isn't a reason to explore outside the established roads and bases, so you probably won't have to climb a mountain. This game is unimaginably grindy. You get $25 per kill and $200 per PvP win. The Black Hawk, namesake of the game, costs $7,500 without any weapon or armor upgrades. You need to kill hundreds of enemies to unlock the cool stuff, and now that the AI has been buffed, farming is more difficult than ever. Weapons can cost up to $22,000 for the base model, before you add aftermarket accessories. There used to be more interesting ways to earn cash, like stealing drugs from the insurgents or destroying enemy attack helicopters. However, those features have been inexplicably removed. Update. So the only way to make money now is killing enemies. Nighttime in this game is just about as bright as daytime. You could view this as a good thing or a bad thing, because on one hand, it's easier to spot enemies in the moonlight, but on the other hand, why do you even have a day cycle if nothing changes? Speaking of nighttime, NVGs suck now. Look at this clip from June 2020. Now look at the same area today. Anything that's not already lit up becomes a splotch of blackness. The only place that they can be helpful is Sandland, where everything's already a bright color. So thanks, update, for making night vision useless. At least the optic reticles are affected. That's a nice detail. I actually find this part hilarious. You know how a lot of video games change the names of gun models because they don't want to violate copyright laws? Well, Black Hawk 5 does something like that too, but they take it all the way. Remington? You must be thinking of American Arms Factory. Benelli? I think you mean Ben Lee. Simple mistake. Colt? Never heard of him. Everybody knows that the M16 is made by Stallion Arms Manufacturing. It goes as far as to pull a US Army and change multicam to Vericam. The PvP servers are pretty bad. I'd say there's a 50% chance that you actually complete the teleport once a match is found. And even if you do make it in, there's a good chance that not all of your teammates did. In my experience, you have a better chance solo queuing than trying to queue with a group. While we're here, I'd like to mention that the map quality ranges from okay to atrocious. I'm going off script here, I'm breaking boundaries, alright? Listen to this. So there's like 4 or 5 maps or something, I don't know the number now, they changed it. Update. You've got the Metro one, which honestly I feel is like the best one. I don't have a problem that much with Metro. Mostly 3 lanes, you know, you got some Overwatch from some sides. It's not that bad, okay? It's okay. Then you've got the city map, which is a bit, you know, not as good. It tries to go for a 3-lane kind of deal, but the leftmost lane is always out of the question because it's wide out in the open, you can't get there without getting shot. I mostly take the exact same route when I'm playing in all these maps because there's usually only one that really works. Then you've got the weird brick buildings one, which is shortened from 3 lanes to 3 lanes, but ends up being 2 lanes to straight 2 lanes. If you go to the left as an attacker, you're gonna get shot. If you go to the right as an attacker, you're gonna get shot but a little bit less, so there's that. Next up on the docket is the office map, which is just awful. This one's got this confusing jumble of ramps and stairways and stuff in the middle that I still don't know where they all go because I never even go through there. Everything's super tight, the windows are bulletproof, which doesn't really make sense. It's my second least favorite one, I don't like it. Last and also least, you've got the nighttime gym map, which is an old one. It's been around forever, okay? It's probably the only surviving one from when they first added the multiplayer. That doesn't mean it's good. I don't know why this one stuck around and not the cabin, because the cabin wasn't that bad. In this map, you literally can shoot from one spawn to the other spawn as soon as you spawn. So that's what people will do. As soon as the game starts, they'll shoot through the windows in a specific spot and try and kill everybody who just spawned on the other side. It's built more like an actual building than a PvP map for a video game, which, you gotta respect on some level, but not this level. I'm sorry. It's not good. Alright, back to the script. Where was I? Oh, here we go. Apparently they have exclusive clothing items for seasons and events. I found this out when I saw people wearing a sick red plaid outfit, and I couldn't find it in the store to complete my Grand Thumb cosplay. Event items are a symptom of a healthy game, but it would also be nice to see some more clothing added for general use. In the latest big update, they took away all of my vehicles and most of my guns. I can sort of see the vehicle thing because they were free in the past and now they cost money, but what did I do to deserve losing my guns and attachments I've already purchased? I think it's part of the larger money grab where they take things away and remove sources of income to incentivize people to buy money with Robux. The update also gave everybody anime eyes. Nobody asked for this, nobody wanted this, and yet, there it is. Finally, I'd like to talk about the A-10. For those of you who are new to the internet or live outside of the United States, the A-10 Thunderbolt II, or Warthog, is an attack plane that provides close air support using its 30mm cannon and various missiles. It's beloved by the troops and popular in meme culture. Everybody wants to fly one. So when I finally hit 5 stars in late 2019, I was eager to take the Warthog for a spin. Imagine my despair then when I was greeted with a sign that said that the A-10 was unusable during the winter. I waited and waited and the snow didn't melt. I wasn't able to fly the plane, and that's why I stopped playing the game 2 years ago. Cut to the present, I hear there's been an update and the A-10 is back. I hop in, check the hangar, and find a $50,000 price tag. I felt that this review wouldn't be complete if I hadn't experienced the Warthog though, so I grinded for 2 straight weeks until I'd finally saved up enough money. I bought that sucker, hopped into the cockpit, and got ready to rock. It turns out that the plane controls resemble that of a flight simulator more than they do the other aircraft, but I watched enough tutorials and figured out how to get the thing started. I taxied out of the hangar, bumped into a sign on the runway, and my Warthog exploded. That's how I found out that it cost $3,000 to repair the A-10 and use it again. So I sold all my vehicles and tried again. This time I made it into the air, and I even managed to line up a gun run on some enemies. I steady the plane, squeeze the trigger, and unleash hundreds of 30mm depleted uranium rounds, which tear through flesh and steel as they destroy everything in their path. The enemies, naturally, shrug off the damage like it's nothing and proceed to shoot down my Warthog. So let me summarize the A-10 experience for you. You kill at least 2,000 enemies to buy it, then you can't even use it. Because 1, targets only spawn when there's a player close, so you need to fly dangerously close to begin with. And 2, even if you do manage to survive that and line up a good shot, your bullets don't even damage the enemy. In conclusion, do not waste your time or your money on this plane. In the end, Black Hawk Rescue Mission 5 is an expansive milsim game that has an abundance of deficiencies. There are very few things to do, but a lot of ways to do them. I feel like it hasn't found its identity yet. The PvP is unfinished and flawed, but the open world doesn't have any quests or similar aspects that bring more to the PvE. There are a lot of weapons, gear, and customization, but it can take you a while to get what you want. It's difficult to rate things consistently on this channel because there are many different genres and experiences that different games try to create. As a PvP game, Black Hawk 5 doesn't hold up. As an open-world PvE milsim, it stands head and shoulders above its neighbors, but could still be so much more. I don't know why they removed the features they did. I don't know why they took away the quests, I don't know why they took away the different enemy types and different sources of money, but they need to go all in on something. As of February 2022, I, Skit Gaming, would rate Black Hawk Rescue Mission 5 a tepid 6.5 out of 10.